Okay, guys, so now we're located in the Ajami neighborhood. It's one of the older neighborhoods of Yaffa. What's important about this neighborhood is today it's where the majority of Palestinians who remained after 1948 remained. Now, the story of Ajami also tells the story of what happened here after 1948. When you talk about the Nakba, a lot of the time we focus on what happened to the villages. We don't focus enough what happened to the city. In 1948, not only did we lose the war, the majority of the Palestinian residents who lived in Yaffa turned into refugees, about 97% of them. But we also lost the city. We lost our institution. We lost also the power to move around. So the majority of the Palestinians in Yaffa turned into refugees. 3 to 4,000 of them that remained here had turned into refugees, and they're all were forced to move into ghetto Ajami. And they used the word ghetto without us understanding what does the word ghetto means, and we weren't allowed to leave these neighborhoods. And in the 50s, Yaffa was annexed into Tel Aviv. Today, the municipality is Tel Aviv-Jaffa, where Jaffa became part of Tel Aviv. Now, few things, very important things happened in this context. First of all, we were forced into the neighborhood, and the houses that we lived there after 1948, they weren't ours. It was a public project called Amida, where you don't own the property that you live in. And this is very relevant today because other Palestinians who live here don't own the real estate. The second thing is we have turned into the slums of Tel Aviv. In the 60s, 70s, 80s, even in the 90s, Ajami was one of the most dangerous neighborhoods of Tel Aviv and Jaffa. The third part is, and this is what we see today, is the gentrification that's happened to the Ajami. So we're being forced into the ghetto and into these houses that we don't own. And then throughout the 90s and 2000, the houses that were owned by the public government, by the public housing project, were being sold to the private sector. So as you can see behind me and around me, you can see very fancy houses, and right next to them very old houses, and it tells the story of our struggle today. I want us to, when you talk about the Palestinians in Jaffa, I don't want us to focus on all the negative aspects that we've been through. I also want to talk about and mention how we as a community, even though we're talking about today about 20,000 Palestinians who remain, we were able to rebuild our community, to rebuild the structure of their interaction between another. And throughout the years, because we understood the importance of real estate, and a main milestone in the conflict itself surrounds the real estate surrounding us. So in our consciousness today, the Palestinians in Yaffa, we focus more and more on buying real estate, because we understand if you want to live here, you have to buy, you have to own your property. It's not only enough to rent it. And if we want to talk about the future, we have to talk about how we rebuilt Yaffa as a city, not as a neighborhood of Tel Aviv, how we gain independence of Yaffa, how we get to affect urban planning to benefit our community, to benefit the neighborhood surrounding us. And I'm optimistic in a sense that we have, throughout the years, we have built a culture of resistance throughout all the racist policies against us and racist discourse concerning our community. We were very successful in rebuilding the community, building our own institutions, and continuing our culture of resistance in remaining on our indigenous land.